Hello, folks. Welcome to the replay of this webinar. And I just want to say thank you, but more so congratulations. And I really hope you enjoy it. It's fairly long, but there's a lot of really valuable content you can take away and implement into your business. But it also leads you down a path. And I hope you see that, and I hope it's clear. And of course, the offer is still there that's in the webinar on the bottom of this page and at the end of the webinar. So I hope you enjoy. And I've also added the questions at the end, a lot of common questions and tough questions that I haven't answered yet. So it's going to be real time on that. So you'll see that at the end. Thank you very much. Bye. Okay, everybody, welcome to the webinar about how to find and keep good people and how profit is key to that and the thoughts around that and how you can lead your business understanding the language of business, which is money, and what people are motivated by, and a lot of things, a lot of statistics, a lot of great things. So let's get started. So I'm just going to share my screen here. So this is part one of Metal Business Mastery by me. And part one is about money, but it's also about people. So it's not just about money, but the money part is the key thing that'll get you to the place of motivating your people and understanding where you're going, because people only follow those who know where they're going. So beyond paychecks, build a metal shop team that stays and why profit is key. And 7 secrets to business success. And these are secrets that Fortune 100 companies use every day, and I'm going to give them to you. And why do I know that? Because I work with a lot of them. So the financial component, which is what today's webinar is about. Now it's going to start off talking about people, but ultimately it's going to end up you seeing that the financial piece is the most critical piece to getting your business to the next stage. So this is the beginning of how to master your metal business. What you'll get if you stay till the end. So if you stay to the end, you will get a calculator to tell you exactly what you should charge per hour based on your numbers. And this is critical because what a lot of times happens is, and I've seen it and I've done it, is we charge exactly the same or a little bit less or a little bit more than the guy down the road. When in reality, what we should be doing is going off of our numbers with the profit margin we desire. Now, it's not that simple. It never is. There's a lot more to that by adding value, but we'll get into that and at a later date. But I'm going to give you the spreadsheet and then an ebook. And this is talking about the why. Why are you in business? And I know that seems like it's not important, or maybe you're saying, well, it's because we want to make more units this week. We want to make more money. Okay, but is that clearly defined to your people? Do your people know that? But I think the younger generation needs something bigger than that. They need something bigger. Is it a community thing? Is it God? Is it um, making North America great again in manufacturing? Something bigger, and finding that why can help lead the people down that road. So, and then creating that through line in your business so people understand why they're there. Because if people know why, it's easier to make decisions and they feel more authorship in the business. So you get a discount on the financial course too if you stick around. So my promise to you is I'll equip you with the financial knowledge, leadership strategies, and team building techniques you need to achieve lasting success with your business. Together, we'll create a workplace where everybody wins, you, your employees, and your bottom line. Okay? So there's more though. By the end of this, know your financial metrics that reveal your shop's position, the bad things, and its true potential. So that's where I talked about money at the beginning. It's critical to understand the language of business, to know where you're going, to paint the roadmap today and for the future. Understand how to better motivate and build a loyal, high performing team. It's hard to find people, but what's harder than that is keeping people and getting them motivated, right? So, and why reading your financials empowers you to make smarter, profit driven decisions. And yeah, profit's important. It's not the only thing, but if you don't have profit, you don't have a business. You go to business. So if you don't have a business, people don't have jobs. So what's the point? We need to think about profit. Know what strategies the world's best companies use so you can too. And why standing out from your competition is critical to your success. And I know that there's a lot of people that get uncomfortable about that, but it is critical in the competitive landscape that we're in the industry to do something nobody else is doing. And I'll give you two examples later on why that's important. So here's the possibility for you. Command respect from your team, attract top talent, and create a workplace where everyone feels valued and invested in the company's success. It sounds crazy, but I'm here to tell you that it can be done. It's not that hard. It's just knowing it, and the awareness of these things is the key. So it's way bigger than that though. And that's me. Think big, right? So it's about your legacy. And not just your legacy, it's about the legacy of the industry and succession. Who's going to take over the business? So the long game is to create a scalable business where your kids or grandkids can replace you easily or sell your business for top dollar. And even if you're selling your business, you're still carrying a legacy on to somebody else, and they're going to continue your legacy. And God willing, they honor that because they care about the industry. And that could be part of your selling criteria is that you care about this. The buyer cares about the industry because we need to prop up manufacturing and metals and fabrication and welding in North America because there's not enough people doing it, but you can. So I wanted to show you the path of where we're going. And you are here. This is the beginning um, for you to understand where it all goes. And the very beginning is understanding your financials, understanding money, how to read the profit and loss, the balance sheet, and all of these, the cash flow statement, and looking at the numbers you already have in your business and understanding what they tell you about your business today. And I hope that doesn't sound scary because it's not as hard as you think. And then what comes after that is, once you know the roadmap, it's finding the why. And I talked about that briefly a minute ago, the why in your business. And if you want it to be to make more profit, that's fine. But it's creating the clarity so everybody in that company knows why they are there. If people know why they're there, then they're more likely to follow you because you know where you're going, right? So motivate your people. There's a lot of strategies to do that. And I'm going to give you some today. Sales and marketing plan. So once those things are in place, you create something unique, then your sales and marketing follows in line with what you've created, your why, how do you motivate your people, and then the sales and marketing plan is quite easy at that point. And it's really about focusing on the pain points of your clients. It's nothing to do with you. Nobody cares about you. I'm sorry to break it to you, but they don't. It's like writing a book. Why would you write it? Nobody wants to read your story. They don't care. What they care about is the pains that they're going through. And they want a solution to them. So you can provide those. And then creating operational systems, creating, streamlining your business so that when you get to succession and on the day to day, things are easy for people to see and understand, and you have it mapped out. So that's what systems are for, is to create, it's like templating everything, right? Creating a template for your drawing packages, creating a template for how you do drawings. It's a template for how does this product get made and what's the system for that? Is it written down so that when you have to fire somebody, you bring a new person in and they can easily understand it so that there's not all that time lost on explaining, right? So systems. And then you can, once those are in place, you can scale. And that's a whole presentation on scaling. Scaling basically means taking a business and without a lot of effort, because you've already put that into your systems, creating the systems and the sales and the motivating your people and the why, and making that a templatable thing to keep growing your business without a crazy amount of effort, right? And then legacy preservation, or sell your business. Because I've been on the end of buying businesses and they're looking at all of these things. Investors, ones that have some sophistication, and those are the ones that you want to sell to, they're looking at what are the systems they have in place, what's the why, what is the operational way, what is the sales and marketing. They want to know all this stuff because it all adds value and they don't mind paying for value if it's there. So that's the path. And we're at the very beginning, right here. Okay. So who am I? I am Gray Sheldon. I'm a numbers and financial nerd. Um, I'm a trades guy, really, that has an interest in business and finance. And the numbers were always pretty easy for me because I was always working with them. So the financials came pretty easy to me. Um, I'm a member of 900 consultants specializing in finance and growth across the world. I'm a metal industry podcast host called the Metal Steel Manufacturing Podcast. Check it out. There's all kinds of web podcast episodes there to listen to, things to learn. I'm passionate about business. I live and breathe it, read books on it, listen to podcasts constantly in the business realm. So you're going to have a hard time catching up with me. 23 years in metals and manufacturing, 5 in management. I'm a learn it all, not a know it all. There's a lot of the reverse of that out there, but I'll be the first to admit I don't know something. I'm advised and mentored by people who are wiser and smarter than me. And that's the way it should be. So I want to play a little game, quick little game. And I think this will show you something about yourself that maybe you didn't know. So think of that person, remember that person you respected and would follow into anything, anywhere, into anything. Think of that person, that one person that you respect the most. Okay. So if you've thought of them, I hope you have. I'm going to give you, get a pen and paper, or just think of it, but I prefer pen and paper because it resonates better with you if you write it down. And there is a quality about those people that you like above everything else. I want you to write that down in a word that describes what that is. One word. Write it down. I'll give you a little bit of time here. Okay, so if you have that written down, and if you want to put it in the chat, I recommend that. Put it in the chat what the word is. Once I see a few, then we'll carry on. Okay, so that one word that you wrote down, I want you to realize that that one word is a quality that you possess. You have that within you. And the reason for that is because you can recognize it. So that shows you right now that you are a leader because it's an admirable quality. And I just wanted to share that with you that you are a leader. And sometimes we just need to be polished a bit. And that is really, I just wanted you to see that you are a leader, and a lot of the things we're going to do here are going to help refine you to be a better leader. And sometimes it just takes the awareness of seeing it and somebody saying what I just told you. Um, and that can be applied within your business, you being a leader. So I'm going to show you how to be a leader. All right. So let's move forward. There's a few things I want to define. Okay. So communication. Communication, when I say communication, I don't just mean talking. I mean communicating what you really mean within your business. So creating clarity from the communication. So in a business, um, we have a mission. If we find that why in the business, and maybe you haven't found it, but let's say you do, you need to create communication in the organization that's crystal clear so people can make a decision from that. So communication to people is extremely important. And what I also mean about that is there's a few things you need to learn how to say. Your elevator pitch, how to say thank you, how to listen to people. It's not about you, it's about them. The employees are more important than you. So ask them questions, and then here's a strategy. When they tell you about something, repeat the last three words of their sentence if you're interested to. I don't want you to fake it. I want you to tell the truth if you're actually interested, but repeat the last three words that they say in the sentence. And then they will carry on. They will continually talk to you. And they will come away from that conversation with you thinking, wow, that guy really cares. And I've seen this happen with clients that I've had. And it goes back to the line that I always say, which is nobody cares until they know that you care about them. So that, if you remember anything from this, that is the one thing to remember is if nobody cares until they know that you care about them. So communication is so much more than just talking. It's about communicating a message with clarity. Leadership. What's leadership mean? Leadership is such a used word everywhere, but leadership is about showing up to be the man or the woman that knows where they're going in your business so people will follow them because nobody follows people who don't know where they're going. So leadership is not a buzzword. When I say it, I mean it is you being a guy that knows where they're going or a woman that knows where they're going. So that's leadership. The why, understanding your why. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? I don't know if you've ever asked those questions, but those are questions to ask and define so that you can have clarity when communicating in a leadership style to your people of why they are there. And if it is to make 5% more profit this month than last month, you need to communicate that so that they understand why they are there. That's leadership. Purpose. People, based on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which we will go through shortly, people need purpose, especially Gen Z. But everybody needs purpose. They need more than just to know they have shelter, food, and water. They need to know that they're contributing to something, they're part of a group that cares about them, that there's a leader at the top, the communication, that what they're communicating is being listened to, and what you're communicating is being clearly told to them. So that's building the trust stuff, right? Saying thank you. Specifically with people, or excuse me, with people, you need to get specific about what they care about. So I will guide clients on going down, talking to the people that work for you. Talk to them, understand what's important in their life, write it down. Don't have to write it down in front of them, but go back to your office and write it down and create a file for each person. and understand what motivates them. And when you are going to say thank you, words are important, but what's also more important is say thank you with something like a gift card or something or dinner, just or to a race or football game. But whatever it is, it's important to them. And they will never forget you because nobody cares until they know that you care about them. And exactly my point. So turnover is bleeding your profit. I think we all know this instinctually, but here's a chart, right? So the cost breakdown of turnover. Hiring costs 25%, training is 30%, 15% on overtime because you've lost that person, so somebody else has to take over, and lost productivity. So the average cost of replacing a tradesperson is 1.5 times their salary. So that gets pretty expensive if you're going through people. So some of these things we're talking about here is how you're going to keep these people engaged. And then if your people are engaged, they're going to say how great the place is to work. And then they're going to tell their friends and it's going to get through. And they call that network effects. The people are going to come and want to work for you. And it's almost like you want to create an environment that's so desirable that there's a wait list for people to work for you. So here's some more um, stats. We've got impact of employee engagement by percentage. So these are the things that get better when you have employee engagement. So you can see um, engaged teams see a 10% increase in customer ratings. Engaged employees are 17 more percent more productive. Engaged teams see a 20% increase in sales. And I don't need to read them all off, but I mean, certainly we can see, and these come from Gallup, which is, world-renowned research institute, that these numbers make a major impact on your business, the profitability, the decrease in errors, the caring. The caring is important. I don't care if you're a big tough guy. You need to show that you care. So here's a saying that is so interesting. And the point here is that we always are looking at the wrong things, and me included. I make this mistake all the time. But I want you to tell me in the chat what you think this means. Revenue feeds your ego, profit feeds your family. What does that mean to you? What that means is, I already said it, is that we're looking at the wrong number. When we tell people what our revenue is, that sounds great. It's awesome. We do 10 million, we do 100 million, we do 500 million in revenue. That sounds like a great big number. That's awesome. But the profit percentage of that is what's important. If you only got 0.5% left of that, that's not good. Your business is not doing well. It sounds great, but it's not great. And we want to align what's happening internally and externally by showing the world that we understand our numbers, we understand the profit. So that is an important saying to show you that your family, your legacy are going to be fed by profit, not by revenue. Your ego is something you need to take out of your business a lot of the time. So what is business growth? Is it revenue or is it profit? Well, revenue amounts to sales generated to feed your ego. Profit is the money to feed your family and legacy. So knowing your financials makes you a better leader, and people follow those who know where they are going. Never truer words spoken. I didn't say it. I'm not the first to say it. I'm just saying it to you because it's important for you to know that you need to be leading your people. And if they're not led, they're going to make decisions that you don't like because you haven't told them. You haven't created the clarity. So people are not stupid or lazy. They don't know what you're thinking or what you think is a good job. because you didn't communicate it. That's why the vision and mission statement is critical to your business success. So people know it, they read it in the employee handbook, and they say, oh, I can make a decision from that. This business makes sense to me. I know why I'm here. So let me give you an example. Why of a business could be a mission of we are here to create a profit of 10% every week. And I'm not saying that that's not the greatest example. It just came off the top of my head. But if they know that, they can make a decision day to day, minute to minute, based on that mission. But if they also know that maybe your why is, well, we donate a portion of our money to charity for children, and all your people care about that, and they understand that that portion of the profits goes to that charity, and they are in line, they understand that, they care about it, and you're telling them that, well, they're more likely to work their butts off to make that profit so that that charity can be donated to, as if they don't, they know it's their fault. So it's creating accountability. If they don't know, they're going to create their own answer. So this is back to if they don't have clarity on the decision, then they're going to create an answer that isn't in line with yours because you weren't clear and communicated. Communication is key to all highly successful leaders and organizations. Your people need a roadmap. Systems are key, but first is mindset. I mean, I can come in for you and do a mindset session, multiple sessions, because it takes a lot. But first, it starts with you creating a roadmap and understanding your mindset first, and then you can get your people on board with that. So the systems fall into that roadmap, but only if you know. Most people want to be led, and leaders know where they are going and why. And understanding your finances is key to this because it creates a roadmap of questions. And when you understand what I'm going to show you and teach you, you're going to be able to look at a set of books and understand what the numbers mean and start asking questions. Why is this happening? This is the benchmark we should be at, but we're not there. Why? Then you go do your investigation. But don't take my word for it. There's a guy way, 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 way smarter than me, world-renowned psychologist, Abraham Maslow. And he says our actions are motivated by our desire to meet specific needs. It identifies 5 types of needs. I'll show you the chart in a second. The 5 needs are for people who reach their full potential from 5 to 1. So from the bottom is the worst and one is, or the top is the best. When one is fulfilled, the next comes from the bottom. So here is the chart. So basic needs, survival. Like you can read them here. I'm here for the money. I'm leaving when I can. I'm a clock watcher. So that's survival because they're not engaged. They're not motivated. And a lot of these things happen when you're hiring. Okay. Security. That's the next stage up from the bottom, right? So we're going all the way up here, and belonging is really where we want to start with people because we've created that culture where people want to be a part of it because you treated the people in your business amazing. And that is done with authorship. And then you get to the next stage, importance, and then self-actualization. So your motivations, once you're a part of a team that cares, because you're the boss that knows where they're going and you can motivate them by communication and it's clear, you get your people up on the top of that. And they really are highly engaged or engaged because you're involving them. And a lot of cases, it's not about every case, in my opinion, it's not about micromanaging. It's about giving up control, giving them the responsibility, and just following up on the responsibility. So it's not just about money, it's about respect, purpose, and advancement, like we're talking about in that chart. These 5 elements drive loyalty beyond pay. But it is about profit because we have to have profit. we do not have profit, we do not have a business, which means we do not have employees, etc., etc. But it's also bigger than that. It's about being free to work on what matters, doing things of high value, engaging your people, not micromanaging. So, systems. After all the other steps, the systems are to free people up to do the work that they are capable of doing, being creative, having authorship, taking on new projects because they feel like they're valued, but there's also systems in place to take care of the redundant things that nobody wants to do anyway. And a lot of that stuff applies in the office, but it's equally as important throughout. So, strategies for winning people, things you can do now, you can take away from this, go do it, see if it works, and come back to me and say it didn't work or it did work. So, authorship, authorship. I keep talking about that. Authorship is first giving up control that you think you have when you don't ever have control, but giving up the control, not micromanaging, and saying to somebody, I trust you to take this on, go do this project, and ask them their input on it. It should always start with questions. Asking, okay, so, because a lot of times as managers or business owners, we think we know everything, but we don't. Stop pretending that you do. Go down to the shop floor and say, Miss Brake Operator, how are we going to solve this problem? Give them the time frame, give them a deadline, and let them solve it for you because that shows them that you're giving them trust, right? So your people know better than you. They do their job every day. Let them create a solution to a problem you have. Don't micromanage them. Let them, but you got to keep them accountable too. Say thank you. Back to the stuff I said earlier with food and beer only. Just kidding. Um, thank you. Shaking their hand, asking about them and not talking about yourself is critical. I know we have a lot of personalities in business management and ownership that love to talk about themselves. Well, stop it because nobody cares. The reason they don't care is because you haven't told them that you care about them. Once you do that, they will care about you. But that doesn't mean you go on and start talking about all your crap because nobody cares. They care about your mission. So ask questions and care about the answers, as I was talking about earlier. It's simple. 2 ears, one mouth. Walk the shop floor. Ask your people questions about their lives. Actually be interested in their answers. Listen. Engage by repeating the last 3 words of their sentence. They will tell you more. Listen, go back to your office, write it down. Write it down. Create a portfolio, a file, whatever you want to call it, about your employees. So when it comes time to say thank you in a really special way, they feel valued. Go down on the floor once a week at least. Talk to these people. Get to understand them, learn them, know what's going on in their lives. It's not hard. Just put a time block in your calendar for it. So here are the secrets for metal business success. And I throw metal business in there, but this is really the secrets to all business success. So get your notepads out because these are important. Here they are. Nobody cares until they know that you care about them. I said that like 45 times now. But that is nobody cares until they know you care about them. That's it. It's that simple. Once they care about you, they're more likely to do the things that you want them to do. Your people need a bigger reason to care besides making more units. Back to what I said, maybe there's a charity, maybe there's some kind of intrinsic thing that fulfills a value in them beyond money. And this is why you need to get to know your people. Understand what motivates them, every one of them individually. Survey them. You got to figure it out, or you're going to be stuck in the same rat race as everybody else. Knowing your financials uh, makes you a better leader, and people follow leaders who know where they're going. It's simple. It's the hierarchy of needs. Those people on that don't move up that chart unless they know that you know where you're going. It's just a fact. And I'm sure there's some liberals out there that'll say, oh, yeah, well, that's not true. And Jordan Peterson's wrong about the lobsters and blah, blah, blah. I don't care. It works. Do what works. Lead your people. This one is going to, I hope, make you think. It's always about price. It's always about price until it's about something else. So that applies to your clients, which I call clients, not customers. The reason for that is clients are under your care. The definition of the word is they're under your care. Customers are relatable to a commodity, and we don't want to do that. We don't want to relate our customers, our people that buy from us, to commodities, because they're not. They're clients. They're under our care. However, I get off on a sidebar there. So it's always about price. So this applies to your employees, and it applies to your customers, clients. So what does that mean? Does anybody know what that means? So we always think we need to compete on price, and this is a whole presentation on its own, but I'm just going to keep it simple. It's about price until you add value addressing one of their pain points that they need solved. So it's always going to be a race to the bottom, doing the three quotes, competing against your competition on the lowest price until you figure out what it is they really need and offer that. And then it's not about price anymore. It becomes things like making them look better in front of their clients. It becomes making them look better in front of their boss. It's about things that are more important than money. So I hope that makes sense. The power of thinking big. You will only accomplish something as big as your goals. So if we made a goal of you doing $100 million next year in sales, you think, well, that's impossible. Okay, let's say it is. But what if we hit 25% of that? That's a pretty small percentage of 100 million. You're still doing 25 million. The reverse of that is, let's say we set a goal of let's do 100,000 next year extra on top of everything. And you only had 25% of that. Well, you got 25,000 next year. So it's a big, big difference. So you start scaling the thought process, and that's what scaling is as well, is the scaling of the thought process. It's like the power of thinking big. You can also think in terms of buying other businesses, um, and that's a whole thing, and happy to talk to anybody about that. So authorship with your people is key to getting them to care. We've talked about that. Absolutely. Some of the greatest, most successful companies in the world challenge their people to make mistakes, challenge the people to take the responsibility, because it shows them that you care about them and that you trust them. And they can make mistakes, and they're not going to yell and scream that. Look, I understand mistakes happen and they cost money, and we don't want to send out a million products that are wrong. But maybe there's a prototype you do. Okay, well, we do the prototype first. You don't just go right into production. You do the prototype, they figure it out first, and then they are the lead hand on that job. Under promise, over deliver. This, when I was doing sales, this changed everything for me. Well, not so much for me, but for the customer, the client. Um, just going to take a drink of water 1 second. So under promise, over deliver. So if I know I can get something done, absolutely 100% positive I can get something done in 2 weeks, I'm going to tell the customer I can get it done in three. And then I'm going to deliver it in one. So what are we doing there? We are not promising, we're not making a promise we can't keep. And then we're showing up early with it. And maybe the 1 week, maybe it's, I don't want to get into, you can do lots of things with it, but the point is you're delighting. I know that word is but you're delighting your clients. You're showing them that you care about them and making them look good to their clients because that's what's important to them. So, how do we start to fix these issues with people? You become a leader, and the first step is knowing your financials. And the reason for that is because that is the language of business. Money, understanding the financials, knowing what it tells you when you look at it, and then creating a roadmap from that. Why should you care about business finance? It's a scorecard. It highlights what's working and what isn't. It shows you things you can't see in your business in numbers. It helps you measure so you can control things when you're creating those systems. It helps the planning process. Lenders want to know you understand and follow your financials. So let's say you want to buy a piece of equipment. Lenders want to know that you know how it's going to get paid for, how much it costs, impacts your cost of goods sold, how much it impacts your profit, etc., etc., and your cash flow, and what's the debt on your balance sheet. Critical things. It's going to be a lot easier process if the lenders know you already understand that. And most of your competitors don't have a clue. So you will have a clue and you will have a leg up. So here's a quick tip. And a lot of these things are quick tips, but they're really valuable. So think in percentages when you're looking at financials. And this may be getting the cart before the horse, but I think it's important. Looking at percentages is a critical thing because it's a simple way to see fluctuations in your financials. So once you understand what some of the numbers mean, you can quickly look and say, Betty, secretary lady, I need a printout of the cash flow. And you put percentages beside it and compare it to the last week before that, and you see a fluctuation, you see a quick change. You start asking yourself, why? Why is that? Why is there change there? Then you go talk to whoever was the lead guy on the deal, on the job, and figure out what the problem is. But it's quick, quick, quick. So percentages are a quick indicator for you to ask why, leading you down a path of asking more questions to understand the problem and get to its root. So this markup versus margin. This happens every single time I go into a business and see what they're doing. Almost every single time. It's rare that people are getting this right. But I'm going to show you. But I want to show you what people most typically do so you can see whether you're doing it or not doing it. So typically people will do this. We have a product we want to sell for a profit. Obviously, you wouldn't be in business otherwise. We want to make 50% on it, right? Sound good. Okay. That's a pretty good margin. Of course, we want to make 50%. We multiply it by 1.5 to make our profit, right? Sounds like a trick question. No, that's not right. And actually, if anybody can put in the chat, like, is that what you do um, in your business? Just write in chat, yes or no. All right. So there's a lot of yeses, a lot of nos. So that's good. So I just want to show you that the 50%, it doesn't give you 50% profit. Let me show you simple numbers. For simple, let's use $100. So you're gonna multiply that 100 by 100 or 1.5, which gives you 150, correct? So is 50 divided into 150, 50%? No. What is it? It's 33%. Do it on your calculator. Get your calculator out, look at it. Do the numbers. I'll do it right now. So 50 divided into 150 is 33%. And goes on forever. So you have a profit margin of 33%, not 50%. That's a markup of 50, not a profit of 30 or 50. It's 33. So this is why we don't figure out pricing on markup. It's the results aren't accurate to the profit margin you actually want. So let's say you actually want to make a 50% margin. This is how we do it. Use the same number, using the same numbers. Let's do $100 and we want to make 50% on that. Okay. We take the 100 and divide it by 50. The difference of minus 100. So if it was, let's say we wanted to make 30%. Let's say we wanted to go 100. We wanted to make 30%, right? So we're just going to back that up. It's going to be divided by brackets 30 minus 100 equals 100 divided by 70% equals a number, which is 142.86. So I show you that because it's important for you to understand. And I know this 50% example is not easy to see that you had to subtract those, but that is the equation. Is 100 divided by, in brackets, the percentage you want minus 100. So if you wanted 30%, it'd be 100 divided by 0.7. Give you 142. All right. So that's the real equation. So then you can check it out. So you do 100 divide 100 by 20, 200, excuse me, is 50% profit margin. We always use margin, not markup. You don't need, like, it's simple. You're going to do an equation anyway. You might as well do the right one. So myth, we need to bust a myth here. Like, everybody thinks accountants, this is the stuff accountants do. This is not the stuff accountants do. Business finance, what you're learning and going to learn in the course, if you buy it, is business finance. And accounting are not the same. What do accountants and business managers do differently? Accountants do this. General ledger, they process general ledgers, trail balances, how to construct financial statements, prepare tax returns, et cetera, et cetera. Physical inventories, you can read all this stuff on the screen. Compliance with regulations in your local area, CRA, IRS, blah, 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 right? So business managers, that's you, would do this once you learn it. How to read and extract information to make operational decisions leading to profit. How to use financial trends and critical ratios as financial compasses to keep your business on track. So what does that mean? That means you're going to compare your businesses to other businesses in the same industry with the same NAICS code, NAICS code, and see how, on an average, what everybody's doing, and then you can actually pick the specific one and see how they're doing, and then compare yourself to it. Are we doing bad? Are we doing well? So that applies to a million things, but if, let's use the example. If you're selling your business, well, if your percentage of profit is lower, you're going to get a lower price for it. So compared to others in the industry, it just gives you a benchmark, a start point, right? So operating budget and track performances against it, and leading the people to a goal. That's what you do. Business managers need to be leaders to lead the people. And then systemization of your operations starts with knowing your numbers. Because why systemize something that costs you money? You have to understand what the numbers are to know if it's a financially sound decision to systemize it. So, P&L statement. Let's do a quick analysis here. I'm just going to pause. Okay, so profit and loss analysis. So if you've never seen one of these, I'm going to quickly go through what these things mean because it's important. So you could walk away with this knowing quite a bit of stuff without buying the course, but of course, there's a lot more to it. So, top line, when somebody says top line, they may be meaning top line, but they also mean revenue or income or sales, which is the top line. When things come in to the business, we call that revenue. I call it revenue. Some people call it sales. Some people call it income. So let's say you get $1 million in sales. All right. So then there's the cost of goods sold, otherwise known as COGS, or variable costs. The reason we call them variable costs is because they vary based on the revenue in the business. Let me say that again. Cost of goods sold vary based on the revenue. So they're directly related. So cost of goods sold, cost of sales, COGS is your guys on the floor and your inventory and any tooling that you may have to scrap or purchase or rentals or anything like that. So that's what your cost of goods sold is. That's why it varies because if you sell a job for $100,000, it takes men, it takes labor, it takes welding, it takes all these things that are going to vary in the shop based on how many sales you bring in. All right. If you have no sales, you have no business, but you have no variable costs because there's no sales. There's no anything to do. I hope you understand. Gross profit is what comes after subtracting one to the other. So gross profit is a good indicator of the efficiency of a business. It's a number I always look at when we're looking to acquire business. We look at what's the gross profit because I know the industry standard. Is it higher? Is it lower? Why is it higher? Why is it lower? So these are the questions I ask. So 40% is pretty standard. Fixed costs, fixed costs, which are overhead, SG&A, which are fixed because they are always going to be the same and they're not always going to be the same, but they're not related to revenue. They are always there. Okay. So if your revenue goes up and down, these costs do not change based on your revenue, at least in this industry. In some industries, that's not true, the case. But of course, you get to a certain point, some of those fixed costs are going to go up. But that's the basics of it, right? So then we have our net income. So we got 200,000 minus 400,000. We're just doing the math. Coming down, net income is 200,000, the bottom line. So the net income of sales is 20%. So net profit, 20%, right? Now there's some other things that aren't in here. There's EBITDA. There's taxes, of course, and we use EBITDA as a benchmark in business acquisitions because it doesn't account for the taxes of the local area. So that gets into a whole lot of stuff. But if you're buying a company that's in Florida and you're based in New York, you're going to have the taxes. The taxes are going to be different based on the mother company that's buying the subsidiary, right? So, okay. So, and it's also just a good measure of the profitability of a business without the income tax. So, break even point. Has anybody ever heard that? Put it in the chat if you've heard that before. Does anybody know what it is? Other than obviously it explains itself, but like, does anybody know what it means? Write it in the chat if you do. Well, I guess it's on the screen. Idiot. What is the break-even point? The break-even point is the revenue level at which gross profit is exactly enough to pay the business overhead costs. Break-even point. So here's a chart. And the important part of this, well, it's all important, but what we're looking at here, let me just get the laser pointer. So we've got we're at a loss all under here. So we get to this. This is your revenue, right? So 100,000 in revenue. This is our cost, our total cost, and this is the point it intersects, right? So right there, you're at a break-even point. After that, we call this the golden triangle. The golden triangle is important to know because there's different things we can do with the golden triangle based on some of the things you would do in your business. So after this is all profit, right? Your total cost, right? Whoops, 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 whoops. Does increased sales mean more profit? Yes and no. It doesn't mean, I mean, it means the numbers go up, but the percentages don't. I hope that makes sense. So if I was to increase the sales volume from 100,000 to 120,000, our profit percentage stays the same, unless there's some things I'll show you later that we'll do. The profit percentage is going to stay the same. So it's more profit in dollars, but it doesn't mean you're making more profit in the percentage. So does increased sales mean more profit? Yes and no. But here's a better question. Does raising prices increase your profit? Does it make sense? So let's say we raised our prices, and I'm going to explain this in further detail in a spreadsheet. And I know it's a little hard on this, but it changes our break-even point. And the nice thing to remember about raising prices is that it goes directly to your bottom line, directly to the bottom line, because you don't have to do any extra work for it. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. But it also decreases our break-even point, right? So what happens is this golden triangle gets bigger. So do we want to raise our prices? Yes, we do. We want to raise our prices because it's the easiest way to create more profit, more money in the bottom line because it goes directly there. However, I highly recommend you don't just raise your prices unless you're too low for the local market. There are things we do to add value. You're not just going to raise prices because you exist. There's a reason you need to add prices. So don't do it yet. I'll show you. So myth buster on prices. Raises, this is usually what people think. All right. So raising prices is bad because I'll lose customers. Maybe you will. Lowering prices are good because I'll get more customers. Yes, we all have thought that, me included. So how can we be sure that this is faulty thinking? Let me show you. So we're going to use the example price change analysis effects on a $60 cost product, okay? So the price is, we're selling it for $100. The cost of making it is 60. Our margin on that, is pretty good. It's 40%, right? So we're going to make 50 of them, which gives you a revenue of 5,000. Our cost is 3,000, leaving us with $2,000 profit, okay? So let's say we go with what Greg said and, okay, we increase the prices, but we're going to lose some customers. Okay, let's do that. So we increase the price by 15%. And just to go back for a second, we don't just raise the price. There's a bunch of things you got to do. And I want to make that super clear. It's not just raise the prices. It's about doing things to add value to be able to raise the prices. Okay, go back to this. We raise the price by 15%. And then let's say that you're right. The volume goes down by 10%. and we make 45 units. So the revenue dollars go up to 51.75. Our cost goes down because we're making less units, which leaves us with more profit. So how cool is that? So let's say it went the other way though. You lowered the price. The intuitive thought of all of us is let's lower the price, I'll get more customers, we'll sell more stuff, and we'll make more money. Okay, not true. And this is why. So you lower the price 10%, you're down to $90. You increase the volume to 60 units. You sold more of them, but the price is less. So your revenue is 5,400, but your cost goes up because you still got to make the more units at the cost, which the cost didn't change at $60 a unit. So you're left with $1,800. So you're doing more work for less money. Not smart business. Let's take it a step further with the second example of we increased the prices by 15%. We got $115 selling the uniform, but it went down even further. We're down 20%. Our sales are awful. Revenue is 4,600. Our cost goes down though, and we're still $200 ahead of where we were at the very beginning. 2,200, and we did less work. So this is the why I wanted to show you the pricing, increasing pricing is super valuable, goes directly to the bottom line, the profit line. But you don't just do it. So does increasing sales mean more profit? No, not really. So where you really start to see the major differences is when that break-even point goes down, the pricing, you raise your pricing, and you lower your costs. And that's when you get this great big giant golden triangle. It's not gold, but you get the idea. Let me just change the color here. Let me just draw on that. So we get the great big golden triangle. See? Yeah. So so that is what that's all about. And that's really, really critical for you to understand. But it's also super critical, we'll talk about it in a minute, of finding the ways to add value so you can increase your price. Because nobody's going to be just like, oh yeah, I'll pay more, unless you find a reason for them to pay more. It's always about price until it's about something else, right? So traditional technique, how to increase the golden triangle. We've talked about this, increase sales volume. Knowing what you know now is increasing revenue, the way to make more money in the golden triangle. What's the answer? Put it in chat. Can the business sustain the demand for more revenue? The question you got to ask. Does it need to invest in new property, plants, and equipment to make this happen? So these are things to think about. Let's say you made it a sale of 1,000,000 units, and then, well, you got to invest all this money, but we did it because we lowered our price. That's how we got the work. Well, that creates a problem, right? But we could use our noggins a little bit and come up with a way to add more value and charge more money, but the value add is not really costing us a lot more. So does this affect the scalability of the profits? Of course it does. So labor rate calculator. So this unit here, and I will give you this at the end. So this is not related to the last thing. This is the next thing that a lot of people just take for granted. They just think, oh, well, I just charge this because that's what the guys down the road charge. Well, that's not smart business at all, because you need to figure out the real numbers. So we need to figure out the shop rates and what we really want and the profit margin on that based on the amount of people we have and our overhead and minus the holidays and all that stuff. So that's what this labor rate calculator does. and you figure it on your highest paid guy, um, and it shows the break even point on their labor. And so you can do that on your own once I give you the spreadsheet. And I won't go through it here now because I'm taking up quite a bit of time, but it is really a powerful tool as a business owner, just to give you the insight to know, oh, this is what I should be charging. Oh my gosh, why am I not charging that? And if you're losing money, it may paint the whole picture for you. And actually, on this, I did a study within a shop, and in an 8-hour day, and that's why this 6.5 is here. Oh, wrong color. That's why the 6.5 is here, because I studied a shop to see what the amount of time people are actually spending, because we never work 100% of the time all the time. We work 6.5 hours within an 8-hour day, as it shows. And that's, you got your break times and stuff there. So that makes a big difference, what we should be charging per hour, because we got to make up for that, right? And the really interesting thing is, once you get into a higher amount of people in the business, it starts to dilute your overhead costs a lot. It really becomes super interesting at that point. But anyway, that is that. So let's move on to the next thing here. So what is the break-even point? The break-even point is the revenue level at which the gross profit is exactly enough to pay the business. We went through that. Why is that in the twice? So this is how you find the break-even for any business, yours included, and you can go do this today. And you will get a copy of this video, just so you know. The break-even revenue equals overhead cost divided by gross percentage profit, or percentage, excuse me. How do you know if we pass the break-even point? Before break-even, we are losing money. At break-even, we broke even. No loss, no gain. Then we make a profit after that. That's the golden triangle. So overhead costs. So these are some examples. Overhead costs is 150,000. Gross profits 40%, 0.4. Break even is going to be 150,000 divided by 40%, which means we have a break even point of 350,000. All right. So I'll leave that up there for a second. But you will have this recording so you can pause it. So the trick to business finance, and this guy is who taught me a lot of the things that I know when it comes to this business finance stuff. And he said this: business or basic understanding of business finance is the key to unlocking the greatest profit in business with the least amount of effort. So if you want to bang your head against the wall, don't listen to anything I'm saying. But if you want to be smart and make the money with the least amount of resistance, listen to this. Frank Giacomo, you can listen to it. You can go check him out. Um, but he's in our space actually, so really interesting. So we're gonna shift gears for a second, and you'll see why it ties back. Um, but why is standing out important? Does it have to do with prices, profit, or revenue? Yeah. I mean, put it in the chat. I already said it, but put it in the chat. Like if you could stand out and be unique, what does that give you a position to do with your client? It puts you in a place. It's kind of like when you're an employee and you are more valuable than everybody else, what can you do in that situation? You charge more money. You're in demand. So that's why standing out is unique. And I was fortunate to be raised by a guy that always taught me to be unique. But some of us are followers, and that's okay. But if you want to get ahead, you got to think a little differently. So I want to give you this example. Harley Davidson motorcycles. If you're not familiar with who Harley Davidson is, you probably shouldn't be on this call or something. But what does it mean to you? And just think about it for a second. What does a Harley Davidson motorcycle mean to you? And I'm going to tell you what I mean in relation to your business. But there's something really critical that Harley Davidson has done that is a great example of how to be unique and command the prices that you want. And the way that they did that is they created a motorcycle that makes you feel a certain way. It makes you feel cool. It makes people look at you because it's noisy and it sounds awesome. And you have a certain look. It creates a culture, a network effects. And it doesn't happen overnight. I'm not saying you're going to be Harley Davidson next week. But what I'm saying is focusing on what the client wants, the guy riding the motorcycle, what he wants, gave them the ability to charge more money than what a Honda could, a Yamaha, or a Suzuki, which makes a motorcycle that looks exactly like this one, but Harley is special because they made it special on purpose. It wasn't an accident. They're one of the greatest marketing companies in the world. And that's because they know how to touch your feelings and what you want. And that is the stuff that gives you the ability to charge more money. So we're going to design for you something around the pain points of your clients. What are the things they need solved? And I don't just mean welding this thing. I mean, they need it on time, or they need it to be shot out of the cannon, or they need to look better in front of their boss, or they need a pen that writes upside down. I don't know, but you got to ask them. And that's the magic. I'm giving it to you right now for free is go ask your clients. I can certainly help you with that, but go ask your clients what they want. What is it? If I gave you a magic wand, you can go like this, Mr. Client. What is it? What is it that you really want? And there's certainly ways to say that, and I've got a lot of experience more than you asking those questions. But this is one example. Here's another example. Pizza delivery. And these are both things I call market dominating positions. So if you ever see me saying that here or anywhere else, market dominating position gives you the ability to dominate in your market because you're doing something unique that nobody else does. It makes you stand out, which makes you the guy that can charge more money because you're adding more value. So that goes back to the prices and raising prices. You can't raise your prices until you add value. And these are examples outside of our industry that add value. So what did Domino's do? They figured their demographic is college students. And they knew their college students were drinking at night. They wanted pizza. They wanted it fast. And they wanted a promise for that. So they said, we'll get you the pizza in 40 minutes or it's free. So it's a win-win for the customer because either they get it fast or they get it for free. Now, of course, it takes coordination and you got to make sure your employees are on board with it. And that's where the communication is critical, is they need to understand it's got to be there in 40 minutes or we're going to be out of business pretty quickly. And that's where all the systems and checks and balances and everything come into play. But basically, that's the marketing piece that made them successful. They understood their client, they asked them what they wanted, they gave it to them with a risk reversal. And what is a risk reversal? A risk reversal is a guarantee of if you don't get it in 40 minutes, it's free. And these are the things that can be done in your business. And you may be thinking, oh, it's a welding business, it's a metal fabrication business. Nobody does that. Exactly. Nobody does that. You should be the first one because then you can charge more money than the guy down the road. So, why does any of this matter? Well, let me tell you, being in the industry since I was 16, I'm so passionate about metals and manufacturing that I know the value it creates more than digital things on a screen. I'm actually just about to do a presentation on why manufacturing and metals and trades are way better than Wall Street because they are, because it economies grow because of manufacturing. And here's a bunch of things that it is, right? So manufacturing and metals is more important than Wall Street. Oh no, it's here. This is where the idea came from. Excuse me. So it creates diverse employment opportunities, produces essential tangible goods, boosts local economies, and revitalizes regions, reduces reliance on imports, drives technological progress and innovation, enhances national security by reducing foreign dependency, super important. And of course, environmental stuff. I don't get too far into that, but local economies, like we're suffering right now, our communities suck. Everybody's so disconnected, and this brings people together. So here's some stats: manufacturing versus Wall Street. Um, we can clearly see that manufacturing is winning here. So environmental impact is one where we're not, well, yeah. So economic stability, job creation, income inequality, long term. So there's just some really interesting facts here to show how manufacturing is better than Wall Street. It's that simple. It creates real things, real products for real people. Not saying Wall Street isn't real people, but it's not creating real things. So manufacturing-based economies excel in economic stability. I mean, all of this is to say, this is where the world is. This is the world we are living in is coming back to local. And we need to think about our local communities. And the way to do that is keep manufacturing here, but also build businesses that are way better at it than they've ever been and creating more profit, more opportunity for people and paying them well because you can afford to pay them well because you put all the things in place that we've talked about here to make your business successful. And then that gets passed on to a legacy, onto another person as your legacy. So the financial, what do you get? What am I offering here today? A lot of free information that can change your business, I hope, if you listen and you get a copy of this. But what do you get? So I put a book together about how to attract and command top dollar and build a business you're more proud of. And it's about creating a shop of purpose and understanding why you're there and thinking about it in those terms to get you down the path of thinking bigger than just more boxes this week. And why are you there? And it's about a legacy, it's about an industry. So what you also get is the financial, we'll talk about the ebook a bit more. Disengagement drains your profit and kills morale. Your why attracts loyal customers and passionate talent. Empower your team to boost efficiency and innovation. Share profits with the purpose of deepening employee commitment. There's a lot of great people out there that want to work hard. You got to give them a good reason to. Build a lasting legacy that shapes your industry. So now the financial course, we'll go through what it is. This is the high level overview of what it is. Lead with financial clarity, inspire team confidence, being the leader. We talked about that. Find hidden profits, boost morale with success, optimize costs, create opportunities for your team. You got to give them authorship. You got to show them you care and build a strong foundation, secure their future with you. So that is how the finance ties in with the people and profit. You can't reward people if you don't have any profit. So unleash your potential, create a legacy of shared success with your people now, people in the future, the people in the future of this industry. And all of this is a $4,500 value, but that's not what you're going to pay. So I want to go through the parts. Part one, understanding the power of the P&L statement. So what we did here, except in more depth, okay? Stop the financial confusion, maximize profit, decode the P&L, uncover leaks, and make smart decisions. Find the key drivers of profit and boost your bottom line. Know your marketing ROI up front. Stop wasting money. You're going to understand all this after you take the course. So options for increasing revenue. These are what the modules are called, by the way. Find hidden profits, boost revenue, cut unnecessary expenses, uncover the 6 things silently sabotaging your profit and fix them. Increase your income and find the cash to invest in your shop's future, your people too. Learn those things about them that they care about and reward them with that. Factors affecting cost of goods sold. Control your costs. Cost of goods strategies for stronger bottom line. That's this is one of the greatest modules, in my opinion, because cost of goods sold, variable cost is such a big part of the metal and manufacturing industry that this part is really valuable. So expose the factors eroding your profits and what to do about them, cut costs without sacrificing quality, and reinvest those savings. 6 quick ways to lower cost of goods sold. Another great one. Put more money in your pocket. Reduce waste, negotiate better deals, and find hidden cost-cutting opportunities. Every dollar saved is pure profit. Unlock the cash within your business. Multiple ways to lower. Yeah. So more good stuff. I mean, it's some of the stuff is simple. And once you hear it, you're gonna be like, wow, I can really do that. So, and how to build a P&L from scratch, kind of like what we just did, but with your real numbers. How to discover your business's financial potential, um, unlock your shop's true potential, outperform the competition, see how you stack up against the industry, and unlock hidden profit. Set ambitious goals and build the thriving business you deserve. Um, Part 8 is about, doing some ads on Facebook, and that's really a bonus. Because obviously this isn't the focus of it, but doing Facebook ads is a great way to grow your business. So just to clarify the rest of what this could be for you, what's coming. Um, so buy today and join this is an opportunity to, if you do buy today, you are put into the queue for my monthly membership. My monthly membership program is not out yet, but when it is, you will be a part of it. So that is going to be SolidWorks training, trades training, business training, monthly Q&A. It's going to be so many amazing things that I cannot wait to do it. It's just getting the time to put it all together. It takes time, right? So, but all this stuff is going to help you with your business. So here's my guarantee. Try it for 7 days risk-free, explore the entire course and put our strategies to work. Find one profit boost or get your money back. Simple and hassle-free. I shoulder the risk. Focus on building your business, not worrying about the investment. So your chance to save, this is it. You're going to get a discount, 44% discount today because you're here. And I really appreciate you for coming. But I also want you to know, like, it's not going to last forever because prices go up. As I get more demand, these prices go up. It's the same thing I just taught you for me. So it's usually $4,500. It's only $24.97 today. That's a 44% discount. That's $2,003 less for the financial course. So how do you get there? You can scan the page right now. You can go to this link, which I'll put in the chat. And this page here, you'll know what you're looking at when you see it. This is what it looks like. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. And now for some questions and answers. Hey folks, as I said at the beginning of the video, I wanted to do Q&A for you on all the questions that I've been asked, and I just want to create the clarity for you so there's no hesitations, no reasons why you shouldn't move forward with improving your business. Because again, this is about the industry, this is about you, this is about your people, and we need to motivate them to be the best versions of themselves and you. And that starts with you. So let me share my screen, and I have not scripted or read these questions in advance, so it's going to be real-time answering. So I'm a little bit worried, but that's okay. That's what we do. So this is the question and answer section. Questions that come from you or somebody like you. How do you set profit margins without losing customers? So that I addressed in the podcast, or not the podcast, but the training, the webinar, which is You want to add value. Now you're going to have a industry standard that you're usually at, which is about 10% profit after everything, and a gross margin of 60%, 40%, the opposite of that. So so we want to go by the standards. So how do we set it without the profit, without losing customers? Well, we want to make sure we're always adding value, because if we're going to increase our profit margin, there has to be a reason for it. And we have to create that clarity for them. And this comes into, and this is another pricing strategy, um, where if somebody says to you, well, the price is too high, you can rebuttal that with saying, well, what do you want me to take out? Because if you're willing to just lower your price, that means you're charging too much in the first place. So, as a good rebuttal for somebody who's saying your price is too high, you say, well, what do you want me to take out? Because everything that we've accounted for in a price is exactly what it costs with a profit margin on it. So, clarity, creating clarity with them and the value that you're bringing over to your competition. How does adding value justify a price increase? Well, that is exactly how it works. Value is what people pay for. So if you go back to the Harley Davidson example, the value that that motorcycle creates is that it makes the person feel cool. It makes them feel like they're part of something special, a unique club, and people are willing to pay for that. People are willing to pay for their problems to be solved. That is how the whole economy works. We are professional problem solvers. So adding value to your base product, like, okay, so you need it expedited. And then Amazon does this, is a great example. You can pay more to have it delivered faster. So we've all done that. So that justifies a higher price because you're getting a convenience and you're willing to pay for it. So that's how it's justified. What strategies have you used to reduce employee turnover and what were the results? So strategies, and this isn't a fast thing, but you can start it right away, which is getting to know your people, showing them that you care. And the results of that are people become like they feel as though they're part of a team, a part of a group. And when a welder or a fabricator or millwright leaves for $1 more to go down the road, that's your fault. And the reason it's your fault is because you haven't created a place that it's more about the culture and the job and the people than it is about the dollar. So that is, there's those are strategies. Um, it's always about price until it's about something else. So it's about, reducing employee turnover, creating authorship, making them feel like they're part of the team. Of course, benefits and all those things come into play, but those go without saying. Really, what it's about is creating a culture where people are valued and are cared for. And the results from that are people stay. And then if you create a business that's more profitable, then you can pay them more. So how do you handle disengaged employees despite good pay and communication? Well, of course, you're always going to have people that aren't interested in what's going on. That's just the 80-20 rule. Now, if you ever heard of that, that 80% of the work gets done by 20% of the people. And that rule is true across the board. So what do you do with the other 80% of the people? Um, you create systems, checks and balances to make sure that their jobs are getting done. And that's why the systems are critical for them to get through their day to know what the goal is and creating those goals. So disengaged employees will probably always be engaged, but you can also, maybe you haven't tried engaging them with getting them to solve a problem for you. How do you read and interpret complex financial statements with multiple revenue streams? Well, that's pretty easy. You can split it into two different um, financials. You can do P&L for each one. You can do a balance sheet for each, like let's say it's got two different subsidiaries of a mother company. All those financials go into the mother company, but the subsidiaries are going to each have their own financial statements. So how do you read them? You read them separately, but it's no different. They're all the same. They go by the same financial standards: the P&L, the balance sheet, cash flow statements, and those. Sometimes you'll see um, revenue, other revenue from, but I mean, it's ultimately coming down to the same thing. But you can break it out in your software as well. What key financial ratios should metal businesses monitor and why? So there's a few, not all financial, but starting with the financial, you want to look at your gross profit percentage because that's telling you the efficiency of your shop. You want to look at what your overhead costs are, and then you want to look at your net profit. EBITDA is important when you're going to go sell your business or you're valuing it. Valuation, we call that with a V, not E. A valuation, not evaluation. A valuation tells you the value of your business. And all of the things I'm talking about in this webinar and so much more of the stuff that I talk about all add to the value of your business. Because an investor does not want to come in and fix it. They want turnkey business. That's what they want because they're investing. They're not fixer-upper guys. There's lots of fixer-upper guys, but it's going to cost you more. So the key financial ratios, and I don't use the terminology ratio. I would just say the percentages to watch are what are the industry standards, and then how does your business compare to that? So the other things are net promoter score. What are your clients saying about you outside the business? Super critical. And certainly, you can measure a number of units, but I don't get into all of that. I mean, you want to look at what you're charging per hour as a business as a whole, and that should be keep it simple. I mean, keep it simple, stupid. I have to tell myself that all the time. You have to keep it simple. So don't overcomplicate it. There's not all these ratios and all that stuff. You can do that, but we're not a public company here. We're private businesses, and the dollars on the financial paperwork are going to show you what you need to know. What are the first steps to creating operational systems in a small metal shop? Well, the first step is creating documentation. So you've got a guy on the shop floor, he's made this part, let's say 100 times. He's the best guy to do that. Okay, you get that guy to work with you through the steps. What are the steps to get that part done right, hopefully the first time. So then, if you have issues in that process, and he's going to tell you, if you ask him the questions, ask him what is it that's not working about this, and then you fill in those gaps. You improve the system, try it again. And you're going to go through iterations of this system creation. And ultimately, you're going to get to a place where, okay, this makes sense. And then you can pass that off to somebody. So operational systems can also include your drawing systems using SolidWorks. I promote SolidWorks. I don't promote anything else because I find it to be the best. But your operational system is in a manufacturing metals business, drawings are critical to the operation. So creating that system, and then you can create an ERP. And I strongly advise you get everybody on board if you're going to have an ERP, but that operational system is critical for scalability. But it may not be the first thing to do because it's really hard. I've done it and failed at it. So ERPs are tough. But you can put in, and I have done this, created a system in a company, a computer where the job numbers were entered, and then the job numbers got spitted out a piece of paper, and that piece of paper goes on the job file, which eliminates a lot of the redundant operations. What they were doing before was handwriting everything. So you had 3 people in the office for a company that didn't really do that high in sales. It seemed ridiculous to me. So the idea there is to free those people up to do more valuable things. to get them to get the authorship and say, here's a task for you, get creative, do it. How do you keep systems relevant as the business grows? Well, again, that goes back to the scalability. So these technology systems that we can use will help grow with the business. But I would say make sure you've got the plan to grow the business in first. We need to know the fundamental stuff, the finance, the marketing, the why, and a lot of that stuff. So, I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead on that, but systems are imperative. You have to have them to grow the business, bricks and mortar or online. Systems are making duplicatable processes automated, so that somebody can easily understand them. What common mistakes do owners make when preparing for succession or sale? The biggest one on that, I would say, is they come up with their number, which usually is way out to lunch, because they have no idea what it should be and what it's based off of. And I can help you with that. But I would say they just pick, oh, well, revenue. Revenue is the number, and I want, or whatever. I want $1 million because I want to buy a cottage and a boat. But that's not how it works. The investor is going to set the price ultimately. And all of these things I'm going to teach you, the systems, the understanding your financials, knowing your why, getting the right people, are going to get you a higher price when you sell your business or transfer the legacy to your kids or grandkids. So, so the common mistake, no systems, too high a price for what it's worth, and a lack of direction and clarity of where the thing's going. So, how do you evaluate buyers to ensure they align with your vision? Well, there's a lot of questions you got to ask, and I have a whole sheet of those questions that I went through with a lot of people to say, here's the questions. You need to make sure this person's aligned. And I mean, I understand there's businesses that sell and nobody cares, and that's fine. But I don't think that's the right way to go about our industry, because we need to make sure it's going to be carried on. It's a legacy, and we're building manufacturing in North America to be sustainable and successful, not just Wall Street taking over. So, and then, you've got to have demands. I mean, you're more interviewing them than they are you, right? That's, you got to turn the tables on them. That's a whole strategy on its own. I could do a pod or a webinar on that. So evaluate buyers. How sophisticated are they? Where's the money coming from? Are they going to sell you? Is it a public company that's buying you? Are they going to give you half cash and half stock? What is it you want? You need to know what you want going into it, and what's your vision long term, and share that. Write it down. How do you differentiate in a saturated market without heavy marketing? Well, that's really simple. Do something nobody else is doing, and design it around the pain points of your clients. That's it. And I don't just mean welding more things. I mean, ask them probing questions. And I know those questions. If you want me to help you, I will. Ask those questions to understand what is it they really care about. Not just, I need this thing welded. I need, if I had if this fabricator could solve this problem for me, my life would change, and provide that and charge extra money for it. That's where the value lies. What strategies help you stay ahead of competitors making similar improvements? I would say you keep adding more value, you keep staying ahead of them, you understand what they're doing and be ahead of, just stay ahead, be on top of, in love with the industry, get the magazines, get the publications, what's the newest things coming out. Like, here's an example, get a 3D scanner and use that as a foot in the door with a lot of businesses, and say, hey, I can 3D scan your area there, you need a part for that. I mean, the possibilities are endless, but staying ahead of your competitors is understanding what your clients want before anything else. It's not about you, it's about them. I mean, you can make it about you, but you're not going to be as successful as your competition. Can you give me an example of a successful risk reversal strategy? So a successful risk reversal strategy is a guarantee of some sort that takes the risk away from the person buying the thing. And I have a client that has one where if we don't deliver on time, um, the next one is on us or make a donation to a charity, blah, blah, blah. There's a bunch of things in that, and I can't remember it all off the top of my head. But the point is, and it's scary to do a risk reversal. I get that because I do it too. And it is scary. But the chances of anybody taking that risk reversal and turning it on you are very slim. And for the times that it has happened, you've made that many more sales because you have a risk reversal. And so you're eliminating all the chances they have of not choosing you, taking all the risk away. It's a risk reversal. How do you handle price-focused clients who resist value-added services? And again, I would go back to the comment I made earlier, which is if somebody balks at your price, you say, okay, so what am I taking out? And shut up. Wait for them to answer. Then they're going to go, and then you're going to say, well, see, sir or ma'am, I've given you the best value I can. And once you want to bring the price down, that means that I'm going to have to take something out and then it won't work properly. So that's the way you communicate through that. How do you handle them? You understand them, and this is you've addressed this before it happens. That's the plan, is understanding them better. What are the pain points they have? And addressing those before this conversation happens. There's always going to be price focused ones. You get the big conglomerates, General Motors, Procter and Gamble, Magna, um, any food company, Nabisco. I mean, they're all about price, it seems. But I believe that's an untapped market because everybody's too afraid to ask. And let me give you an example. In Procter and Gamble, when I worked for a company that worked in there, their biggest hurdle, one of their biggest hurdles is they have a breakdown because they run 24-hour shifts. So they have a breakdown and they need a replacement part. So what if you put that replacement part on site in a vending machine and charge double the price? Well, these guys, it's $100,000, I think, every 10 minutes or something for these lines to be broken when they're not making products. So if you can offer that same thing that gets their line up and running quickly, you can charge a premium for that because they don't, at that point, they don't care about price. They care about getting these things done. So that's what understanding your client is all about and knowing where to address the pain points and help them. So So price focused is not always price focused. It's always about price until it's about something else. So you make it about something else. We're here on time. We're here before time. We've got parts ready for you in a vending machine before you break down, but you're going to pay for it. How do you balance empathy with authorship and leadership? I don't balance it. That's a tough question. How do you balance empathy? So I would say it's important, like, don't pretend that you care. Don't pretend that you want somebody to have an authorship in a project. Like if they're not the right person for the job, then don't put them on it. And I would say never lie and never pretend to be something you're not. But maybe there's a different guy in the team that's better at that. Get him to do that part in the leadership and say, you know what, Bob, you're really good with people. I'm not that great. Why don't you talk to this guy about it? And because people can feel that, they can feel the empathy. If you have none or if you have some, they can feel it. So authorship, if you're instilling trust in someone and they want to feel as comfortable as possible, right? So I would say If it's not you, delegate. Get somebody else to do it that's better with people. But empathy is different for everybody. Uh, if you don't have any, then you're trying to create a culture that has it. Maybe that person is the right fit or you're not the right fit, but that doesn't mean you have to go away. You get somebody else that is good at it. So, how do you continually develop your leadership skills? Well, you take my course, first off. Of course, you join my community. But other things you can do is, I mean, there's a zillion podcasts out there. There's a zillion videos on YouTube. Some ones I would recommend, Myron Golden, Dan Pena, what's his name? Ed Milet's. Some really good ones that are out there that are just teach you about leadership and way smarter people than me that are teaching it. But I learn from them. So I've got a lot of it, right? And I can help you with that. So continuously development is a commitment from you to just do it and commit to listening to a podcast once a day. Um, make it happen. Eventually, over time, you will be the greatest leader those people have ever seen. So, and take my course because I'm going to help you through all of that. And the first step to that leadership to develop it is to understand where your business is going. And to start doing that, you need to understand the financials, the business, the language of business, which is money. How do you decide which new equipment or technology investments to pursue? Well, that's simple. Return on investment. What is this investment going to get me in a return on a return? And is it a contract? Is this something that I can get on paper? I mean, you've got to search out the demand for it to see if there is a demand. If there isn't a demand, then there's no sense in buying it. You're not going to buy a $100,000 or $500,000 piece of equipment for a few jobs. It's got to be something that is always going to be used, that's going to pay for itself. Sometimes we're forced into these things like press breaks and stuff like that. But yeah, it's got to make sense. And then you know what? If you want leasing is a good idea too, because that means I mean, it's just categorized different on your balance sheet and cost you differently, and it's a tax write-off. So, and that's not for everybody. I'm just saying that, and this isn't legal or financial advice. I'm just saying that it can be depending on where you are. So, new equipment and technology, you need to stay on top of that stuff, 100%. And I would say, how does it impact your business value? How does it impact your operations? How does it make things easier? Um, yeah. What are the best practices for managing cash flow during rapid growth or downturns? The best way to do that is to know what's happening with your financials every single day. And the way to know that is to learn how to read the financials, to know what you're looking at. So to be able to manage it and look at it every day, you have to know what you're looking at. So rapid growth or downturns. It's obviously easier on a downturn to watch things because you can see it clearly, more clearly, but rapid growth. These are things, its best practices are stay on top of it. Look at the numbers every single day and know what's happening and know what you're looking at and use, like I said in the webinar, the training, the percentage changes, use percentages because it shows you things quickly so you can diagnose the problem faster. Of course, there are other systems out there called Profit First. I'm not certified in that, but it's about managing cash flows in different bank accounts and all that stuff. But I don't want to get down that rabbit hole. So, can you share a case study where you applied these financial principles? Yes, I applied it in a business that I worked for. I was the general manager, management, shop foreman, and I sourced out this information because I needed to know it because I wanted to buy into the company. And I needed to understand the financials better than anybody else. So the financial principles, sorry, the case study would be that my own personal life, which is it improve my career, improve my ability to look at businesses. So then after that, what happened was I went into mergers and acquisitions, and I could quickly look at a profit loss balance sheet, cash flow statement, and understand what I'm looking at a lot better than if I just didn't know anything, right? So I mean, God has a funny way of working through our lives, but that's the case study is my own life. So how do you adapt financial strategies for different types of metal businesses? Well, I would say there isn't. There isn't any different financial strategies. I mean, you could do like a unique selling proposition or where if somebody pays you in 10 days, they get a discount. Um, but financials are financials. Um, so different financial strategies. I don't really see that there would be any real financial strategy differences. Um, because all metal businesses are selling a product at a profit margin. I would say that make sure you're using profit margin, not markup. Keep an eye on your break-even point. Understand what each employee is contributing to the top line, because that matters, because it tells you a lot about the people. Um, so understanding what each person is producing, understanding what each production or each product is producing and why, and what are the differences. It's really just a cross-referencing of things like why is this thing better than this thing and what are the differences and why, and then adjust. So financial strategies are just asking questions. That's it, just like you're doing. So that's it, everybody. I just want to say, look, and I really thank you for all the questions, and I hope I answered them well. And I really want to see some great success for this industry and you, and I owe it to a generation of baby boomers that raised me through my career. And this is my way of giving back. And these are some of the resources of the stuff that I'm presenting here. But that's it. And I go take advantage of the significant discount on my course. And the reason I'm doing that, which I didn't touch on in the video, the training video, the reason I'm doing it is because this is the beginning of a membership. And I want to get a lot of people in. Because it's going to be valuable as the years go on, where I'm teaching everything within this space. So this gives you access to all of that. All right. So thank you very much and cheers.